Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for our second Rocky Mountain ASTA event of this month, but this is a business builder event. We are so fortunate to have Stephanie Gries. Did I say that right, Stephanie?
Yeah, yep.
Here from Travefy, and she's got a great presentation for us on 10 game-changing ways to use ChatGPT as travel advisors. So without further ado, I will let her take it away. But also, we did promise a $50 Amazon gift card at the end of the event. So hang on at the end, because we've got the wheel of names, and we will spin it, and someone will win. So take it away, Stephanie.
Awesome. That's so exciting. And hopefully you all are staying warm. I feel like everywhere is just so cold. So I'm excited to be here with you, just cozied up and learning about AI and talking about ChatGPT specifically. I love this. So I was really, really excited when I got contacted to do this presentation, because this is one of my favorite things. I use ChatGPT like every single day. I use it so much. And I hope after this, you start using it too, and you learn more about how it all works and everything you need to know, because it really can help you not only just grow your business, but just really help streamline your day-to-day. And we'll give you tons of ideas of ways to do that. But first, just really quickly to introduce myself too, like why me? I'm not a travel advisor. Well, here's the thing. At Travefy, we get to talk with so many advisors like yourselves every day. I've been with Travefy for 9.5 years now, which is crazy. And so I've really gotten to see specifically the tech side of the industry, and it's amazing to see how much it's grown. So then when AI started coming in, it's like, oh, wow, this is big. There's a thing here. And actually at Travefy, we use AI. Actually, we've been using it for a while, but it's just in the back end. You just don't see it the way you think sometimes. Like the robot answering your questions or helping you out. There's so many different ways that it can be used that I'll explain today. But because of this, I get to chat with so many advisors. So not only have I gotten to see what they do, but I get to see and hear what's been successful for people. So that's why I like doing these kind of presentations, because I hear things and I can tell you what I hear everyone else is doing and what they find success in. So it's really awesome. And with Travefy too, obviously, we're not going to really talk about Travefy today. But if you're unfamiliar, we're a software tool for travel advisors, itinerary building, CRM, marketing tool, all those kind of things. So you can see we really hit a lot of different parts of the business. So I get to just correlate that into this presentation that you see today, which is super cool. And again, super excited to walk you through this. But what I'm thinking today, so I really just want to talk about a little bit of what is artificial intelligence and ChatGPT, but then really just talk about, how do you even use it in your day-to-day? And then I'm going to give you actually 10 ideas. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about ChatGPT. So if you're kind of unfamiliar with that, you will learn everything you need to know, and it's free, which is the best. So we'll talk about all that. And I bet this session will probably go 30 minutes, maybe. So don't worry, it won't be super dragged out, but I will also spend time with questions. So if you do have any questions, feel free, put those in the chat, or, we can chat after this at the end, but, asking those. Now, really quick, I just want to do a poll. If you go in the chat message, has anybody used ChatGPT or AI? Do you use it at all? Because I'm curious. Oh, I see some hand raising. That's awesome, because cool, Mitch has used it. Oh, perfect. So there's a lot of you. This is awesome, because I think it's really helpful. Like if you have or you haven't, it's okay. But I really hope you get some good ideas out of today. But first, if there's any that are still kind of new, you hear this AI term, like, what is that? It's artificial intelligence. I always like to think it's just like the robot, just beeping and bopping in the background, figuring things out for you. But AI is really it's a learning system. It's learning. And that's basically what it is. I always think like Google is kind of that. I mean, it's just, Google was our first thing where you ask it a question and it needs to know what it's giving you. And that's what AI really is. And that's what ChatGPT has done for us as well, where ChatGPT is really simple. With AI, now there's a lot of different AI tools out there, and we use some of them at Travefy internally. Like we use one to help edit our videos. We'll do things like that. And there's even one that I really like. If you're if we're recording something, it will find our eye. If we're looking away, it'll bring our eye contact onto the screen. things like that. It's pretty impressive. It's really cool. But ChatGPT, though, is my personal best friend because a couple things. It is completely free. There is a paid version, so I'll explain a little bit of the difference. I use the free one all the time. Usually that's good. I say paid version is really good. It's about $20 a month. That's really good if you are truly utilizing the heck out of this thing and on it every day. I think that can be really helpful. But the good thing is the free version is really great as well. But what it is it's really just a way to ask things and then get responses and keep asking it to filter it down to the perfect response. And that's why I like ChatGPT, because you can go to Google and you can ask something and it'll throw you, an article or a blog, and then you just have to hope that that answers your question. But ChatGPT, you can keep asking things to get to what you want. And we're going to talk about that in all the examples I'm going to show. But a couple of things that I always like to talk about too is with ChatGPT, we all know this, but just as a reminder, it's not always correct. That's why when they say, like this will replace our jobs, I don't think it will. I think what's going to happen is you want to learn how to adapt to use it because someone else is going to do that too. And they're really just going to help it grow their business and help them utilize it. Because at the end of the day, ChatGPT is still not human. And so I think that's really important to remember that it doesn't replace a human. And that's why I love thinking about AI and ChatGPT with the travel industry, because we need your expertise. You have to have your expertise. And you're just using this as help or just helping everything go further. So that's the thing that's really great about it. And then again, I think the biggest thing with ChatGPT is understanding how to ask the questions to get the response you want. And that's what I hear a lot of times where people might try it and then they're like, I don't know, I just couldn't get into it. But it's really because you have to really learn how to ask it the right questions and keep asking it till you get the answers you want. So I'm going to talk at the very end. I'll kind of talk about that as well. And Mitch is correct. Yeah, artificial intelligence is not human intelligence. It's not. And it also doesn't know, if there's some new information that comes out today or yesterday, and you ask ChatGPT, it's not going to know it. So that's also why it's very important. So always just like saying that it is not replacing us at all. It's just helping us, which is really great. And with that, here's 10 ways that it can help. And I really, again, these are really fun. I get very much into these. And again, I use it every day. So if you have any questions, let me know on some things that might help and tips. But I'm just going to start off with our first thing here. I'm going to dive right in. So the first one, and sorry, Travefy here had to do itinerary first because there's so much you can do with itinerary. So the first thing is itinerary ideas and itinerary creations, or proposals as well. I should have put in proposal on that too. Proposal quotes, huge for that. Because what this can help you do is do some destination research. You also can do like trip suggestions based on their preferences, travel style, restaurants, entertainment, proposal enhancements, generate descriptions. There's just so much you can do. And in fact, I want to show you something here. I'm going to show this tab. So I actually opened up my ChatGPT. And so this is what it looks like if you're unfamiliar. So ChatGPT, you just look it up. If you type in ChatGPT, you'll go right in here. But just to show you a quick example here, I can put in here, like, I'm a travel advisor and I have a client traveling to Florence, Italy. And I'm being specific. This is what's really important. I'm being specific because I'm saying who I am, what this is for. And I'm saying they're going to this specific place and what time of the year, because that's important also. And then I'm going to say, what should I make sure to offer us suggestions for things to do? Now, I would actually recommend going even further and say, like, they'll be with a family. Here's the kids. Here's the ages. Here's what they like. Things like that. I think the more you can add into it, the more it's going to help. But just to show you this simple thing right here, I can just ask this question. And now here it's thinking. And also now what it's doing, I love this also. It's update. You'll see how it says memory updated. It remembers everything you do. So that's why I also think it's important to constantly use it and give it material, because it's going to remember your voice. It's going to remember what you're looking for, what you're doing, who you are. So it just keeps getting better and better, and will give you more the responses that you want first time more often. Now, check this out. And I think it's like still going. Okay, there we go. Now it's finished there. Look at how much it just gave me. And now what you could do is if you had an itinerary builder or whatever it is you use, you could go in and you could just copy and paste this stuff. And you can pull some photos in, you can add some things. And we could even go further in. We could say, wait a minute, we like this wine and dine option. Can you give me more on that? Or what are some, like, if you can give me a short description. Or if you're suggesting, like in a proposal or a quote, you're suggesting like some different tours or recommendations, you could drop that in and say, hey, can you add some details like to try to, sell this, for me? And you could take that information, just copy and paste it. So that's where I think there's just so much that you can do in that. I'm going to come back into this slide here. And then the other thing that I put in here too is a bonus. If you use a tool like Travefy, save that content. You can always save that content into like your library or whatever it might be that you save information to. And then that way you don't have to use this every single time. You already have like, oh, if someone's going to Florence and it's a family, I have a lot of stuff already, thought out and put in there for them. So I think that's what's really cool, ways to use that there. Now, it's kind of shifting gears a little bit into marketing. I tend to really, I am on the marketing team, so I always tend to think marketing wise, but I think with ChatGPT, there's a lot of marketing things you can do. One is email marketing ideas. Now, this could be email marketing in terms of like a newsletter, or maybe you're trying to show you have a group trip that you're trying to promote, whatever it might be. This can be really handy for those things like subject lines, because those are important. And I don't know about you, but I always forget about that until I go to send an email. I'm like, oh yeah, I need a good subject line. I always forget that stuff. And so then things like the copy, maybe you just need jumping off points. That's actually how I use ChatGPT a lot, is usually when I can't think of how to begin, which is common. I get a lot of writer's blocks. There's just so many things we're dealing with every day that you're like, I need to make this engaging, but like, I don't even know where to start. This is a great way to have those jumping off points. They also can give you ideas for like content. Like if you do want to start doing that newsletter or updates, whatever it might be. And here's an example. So I'm going to show you this prompt that I made. And now this ChatGPT prompt, I said, I am writing an email marketing newsletter for my clients. And I'm being specific again. I'm saying this is going to go to people who have traveled in the last 2 years with me. So what are some content ideas to create to engage with them? And so what it gave me is this. It gave me so many ideas, that things like travel recap, travel, contests, maybe your deals, behind the scenes. That's cool. If you did like a behind this, like I never would have thought of that, is doing a behind the scenes for like how you're working with a client. Here's what step 1 you do, step 2. And then you could go in further and you can ask it, be like, wait a minute, I like that idea. Tell me more. What could that look like? If I want to make a short video, what would that look like? And you can get really granular in with all of those. So I think that's what's so cool, is it really gets ideas sparked, which I think is just so incredible, and it can really take you really far. Now, another one is kind of in that same vein, is social media content. That is a thing that I don't know about all of you, but again, at the end of the day, after all the things you've been doing, having to come up with ideas and engaging ideas, if that, it's tough. So that's where I think this helps. This really can take the guesswork out of your planning, because you can just do so many things, like, again, generating content ideas, and be specific again with platforms. So if you're really trying to grow your Instagram, things like that, you can do that. And what blows my mind every time I do this stuff is, not only will it give me, like the text that I should use in the post, but you could ask it and say, can you create a content calendar for me for Facebook posts? And I say, it's probably small to see, but I say in the prompt, I say, please include graphics, text, and hashtags. I would like to post 4 times a week, and the focus is to sell travel. And then, so I'm kind of giving it some things, like I'm trying to tell it what I already have, because that's one thing, is you don't want it to give you all these things and you're like, okay, well, I don't want to spend that much work on this. I want to use stuff I already have. So you can really give it that. And then it says in here, like Monday, it says a graphic should be a collage of the top 5 Caribbean destinations. Well, that's easy if you have like Canva or something, so easy to do. And then the text would be like dreaming of the Caribbean. Let's make those dreams reality. It just kind of gives you some stuff. And again, you can keep asking it questions. So I do that a lot where I'll say, I like where you're headed with this. I won't say it that way, but I like where it's headed sometimes, but I'm like, that's not how I would talk. So I'll just kind of say, hey, can you give me 5 different ways that post can be said or that text? So I think that's just so important to kind of just do that too. Oh, and here it is bigger actually. I forgot I did this. So you actually can see it a little bigger here. You can see this one option too on Friday. It's like a quote graphic with a client review. It says, hearing from our happy travelers makes our day. Thank you. And just all this stuff. And again, just compile things that you already have and then see how it would have you plug that stuff in. And in fact, ChatGPT does have it hook up to Canva where it can start making things for you. I will say I haven't played that much. I haven't played around with it a lot. I've done it like a couple times, but I still was just kind of testing it out. But there are still things you can do. If you are like, oh man, I can't do graphics. Like I don't even know where to begin. Keep it simple and just ask it too, and look for different ways, different things that you can use there. So a lot you can do with social media. Now, this fourth one is one of my favorites because this one is one that I feel like a lot of people don't think about. Some people do. I've had a lot of advisors be like, I do that. And I'm like, good job, because this is really handy as custom emails to clients. There's a couple different ways that you can use this. I think one that's really good is if you're having trouble answering those harder questions. Now, I'm going to give you an example of one, and I'm going to give you an example a little later on of another way that you can use this. But one thing I like to do is sometimes I have emails that you need, those emails you have to write and you're like, I really need to have the right tone. And I want to make sure I get this across really well, whether it's happy or like whatever kind of, emotion it is. But also it gives you, again, those quick thought ideas for jumping off points. But sometimes I really will, or especially if it's at the end of the day and you're like, your brain is just not working very well at that point, and you have your email written and you put it in and be like, can you make this better, more concise, very thoughtfully written out, and it'll do that for you. But here's an example that I like showing. So this prompt that I gave was, I am a travel agent and a client doesn't understand why I'm charging them a fee to work with me. I hear this a lot where they're like, oh, I have a new client and they're just like, why do I have to do this? And we know why. We know we can explain, but to give it in a thoughtful way can be really hard sometimes. So enter ChatGPT, because now what it'll do is it can say, I hope this email and you can tell it to change the tone, or you can even say like, hey, sound like Richard Branson. You can literally give it people to sound like, which is really funny. But you can also drop in like if your own email responses is to be like, read this and this is my voice, so make it sound like me. You can do things like that. But I think this is really handy because it says, in here like, the service fee I charge is not just about the final booking. It's an acknowledgement of the time, expertise, resources I invest. It's just really carefully thought out well. And so that's why I think using it for things like this is really, really helpful. And again, I'll show you another example here in a little bit, but I just think that is a really great way. And again, I do it that way sometimes where you just want to make sure that email is really good. That's a great way to do that, is using your ChatGPT. Now, okay, halfway through here, the fifth one is packing lists and tips. Now, this one kind of goes on the itinerary side that we were talking about earlier. But I think I was just talking to an advisor about this last week, is how there's so many ways to impress your clients through the itinerary, whether it's a pre-booking stage or it's after. There's just so much that you can give them that really makes an amazing experience, and this is one of them. This is really cool because you can get a really simple like packing list or something that you put together, and you're including, either you're sending it separate to your clients, or you're attaching it to the itinerary and be like, hey, check it out. Maybe 30 days before their trip, say, hey, I just added a packing list for you to help, or here's some things, here's a list to make sure you bring these with you or pack these. And then you can even do things like, you could just drop it into an itinerary, but you can also make like a PDF on Canva, Google Docs, a lot of different things that you can do. And I gave an example here of a prompt here, which saying, my clients are traveling to Italy at the beginning of September. They will be visiting these places. What should they pack for 1 week? And I say some activities, they'll be going to the beach, boat rides, wine tour, and exploring. So then what it gave me was this. It said, okay, clothing, here's what you should be packing. And now what you could do, copy and paste this. Just copy and paste it, maybe add some pictures, or maybe you don't even have pictures and just copy and paste text. Really simple. And then you could even ask if the way that this is laid out isn't in a way you want. Be like, hey, can you lay it out so I can make him like check boxes? You could do that too. And then again, this is the kind of stuff that you just can save. You can either do it one-off for each client or save it. Do like an Italy, South Italy packing list for the summertime. And maybe you just save that stuff. And this again is the kind of thing that it does not take you long to do, but it just like really elevates the experience for your clients. And at the end of the day, creates like repeat clients. They tell their friends, and it just becomes a whole experience, which is just so cool. So that's a great one right there too. Now, the sixth idea, and this is kind of going back in that marketing side, is blog content and ideas. Now, this is if you decide to do it. I know a lot of advisors will start to do blogs, or maybe this is what you add into like your newsletters if you decide to do some marketing that way. But this stuff, some people can just create, like just do so many blog posts all at once. But ChatGPT is really good for this because it's really going to help you not only think of ideas and topics, but it can actually write copy for you too. Now, of course, you want to make sure you put in your voice and make sure things are correct. But I think if you start using it, the more you do this, the easier it'll be to just pump out content that you can use for marketing, whether it's marketing for social media or for, newsletters, lead magnets, whatever it might be. Now, here's the prompt that I gave just as an example. I said, I specialize in wine tours to Italy. Can you give me 5 blogging article topics I can write about? And here it did. And now what it gave me is things that I would have never thought of on my own. It said like the journey through Italy's wine regions or pairing. And there's just some really fun things, the art of the Italian wine tasting tips and techniques. There's just so many things. And this kind of stuff also doesn't necessarily have to be blog posts. You could be putting this in those trips, those itineraries, again, to create that full experience. But I think this is just no-brainer ways to be using ChatGPT, which is really cool. Now, number 7. I like this one too. It's one of my other favorites. Is upselling ideas for your clients. Because again, we want to think of this as it necessarily, all for your marketing or social media, but it's also like, how can I elevate and make more money at the end of the day, which is good, but elevate the experience. Now I kind of talked about this at the beginning with itineraries of ways that you can use, add some extra things, or like whether it's a quote proposal you're building. But you can also use ChatGPT. Think of other stuff. Maybe it's thinking of, some suggestions of things to do. So some tours. So maybe you get some ideas, and then you go to, maybe if you use Project Expedition or Viator, and you get those tours, put them in. Or also, it also can help you create engaging descriptions to sell as well. So if you're also using, you have a resort or something, and you're like, hey, what can I say that would show this other option? And here's the reasons why this makes it better. Can you create an engaging description of what I can use to sell that? Now, here's the example I gave. And sorry, I was in a really big Italy thought mind when I did all these prompts. So if anyone does Italy, here is right thing. But I said, okay, they're traveling to Tuscany. They love wine and food, and I already have a private food and wine tour planned for them. But so again, I already have stuff, but let's not stop there. What else can I offer that I haven't thought of? So then here's where you come in, and it tells you all this stuff. Cooking classes, okay, truffle hunting. Well, didn't think of that one. Olive oil tasting, bicycle tours. It's just so many things. And maybe if you already use suppliers who are giving you this kind of information, what you can do is, again, you can take that and just put it in and be like, what are some really good descriptions that I can use to sell this, or why I think, they should book these. So it's really cool. Or even like at the bottom on the opera or concert night. I mean, there's just a lot of things that you might not think of, or a supplier might necessarily show you right away, but it just gets the wheels spinning a little bit and offering more options for your client. Now, kind of on that, the 8th one here is white glove customer service. Now, we kind of been talking about this throughout, where we're really just elevating that experience. But one is really good, where I like to say, and again, Mitch said artificial intelligence is not human intelligence, but it meets the humans. And so that's what's really nice, is that you can use this as almost your little like your chauffeur of travel, or just your assistant. That's what I'm looking for. It's like your planning assistant in here, because you can, again, utilize it for those hard to answer questions, or just things you might not really know. Because, one thing that, as an example here, obviously, if a client comes to you, they want to book something, they have a question that you might not know the answer to. Luckily, here in the travel industry, we have amazing communities of people that can help answer that. But sometimes you could just go to ChatGPT too and get a really good reply really quick. And here's a good example is, when is the best time to travel to London when it's good weather, but not as touristy? And so it gave me this response. It said, late April to early June, and September to early October. Now, again, you might want to be like, hey, I'm going to go ask somebody who might, they really know London. Let me just double check. But this is just, again, it's really quick responses. So if you're, chatting back with your clients, or, they kind of have these questions that you think like ChatGPT could probably answer that for me, use it for that. Again, it's like your Google, and it just gives you more description, which is really great. So, and I love too how it broke down like the weather and the tourist factor. And then it also did things that I didn't even ask for, like things like festivals, events, pricing. So it just gave me more than I even asked for, which is really cool. So we love that. That's always great. Now, this is another random one that I didn't think of until our VP of sales mentioned this. I was like, that makes sense. If you have a team, or if it's just for yourself, or if you're new to the industry, this could be a really cool way to train yourself. So you could do sales training or role plays. Now, here's some examples. So you can simulate customer interactions, or teach it how to respond and handle different situations. So one thing that I'll just use this as an example is like the fees, like going back to that fee. I know a lot of times, if you don't charge a fee and you want to, but you're just so hesitant, you're like, well, what will I say if somebody asks this, or they're like, well, what is this? And this is a great way to just kind of role play and just kind of see what you'd be ready for and what kind of questions. And again, you can give ChatGPT so much information, be like, this is a person who travels this much, and maybe they've never used an advisor, and just really give it a lot of context and information. And it can be kind of fun to just kind of play around, and just kind of keeps you so you're ready, for anything that can come your way. And it also keeps, if you like to keep, I know like Google, or if you have a CRM tool, sometimes you can save like replies. We call them macros. Sometimes I've heard them called, and you can create those and save them. So it's like, if someone typically asks you questions, like very similar questions all the time, you can have these ready to go, and, and just kind of use those, which can be helpful. Oh, and I did an example here, is, I want to train on how to respond to clients if they're looking for a vacation for their family, but not sure where to go yet. What types of questions would they ask? So here's another fun one too. This can help you also, create like forms. That's a big one. Be like, if a client's going here, they've never been, like, what type of information do I need to make sure I'm asking? And here's where you can start, role playing, and make you think of those different opportunities that can come up or arise. So just kind of a fun one there. Now, my final one is, again, enhances to your client's itinerary. Kind of coming back to this one more time, because I think, again, this can be used so well. We've already been talking about it throughout, is, adding so many different things. But you can also do things like history, culture facts, best practices, all kinds of stuff that you can be adding and supplementing into the itinerary or the proposal. So again, it just becomes this full experience. And that kind of information, again, save that to reuse over and over again, which is nice. Now, I want to talk about, hopefully that was fun. I hope that like kind of got some ideas, like sparky and some fun things. Yeah. And all the different things. But one thing that I do want to mention, if you are just getting started with ChatGPT, some things that I like to mention is, one, just how to become best friends with it, because again, it really will take some work learning. I love how I talk to it like it's a human, but the robot, whatever ChatGPT is behind that thing, that learning tool, has to learn you, and you have to learn it. So I think the nice thing is letting it learn your language, your voice, tone, writing style. You can do things like you can actually upload documents. So one thing you can do, if I go back into ChatGPT, I'm going to share this. You can do things like you can upload files, and you can just add a lot of things. So you can really copy and paste like blogs you've written or emails you've sent or any like social media posts you've done. Put that in there and say, hey, I want you to learn me, like learn my voice and how I talk, and my clients, learn my clients, give it all that information. And the best part is it remembers everything. It will remember everything. So I know when I first started using ChatGPT, it was cool, but I was like, I don't really need to use it all the time. But then I started really really using it. And now, I mean, it'll always give me what I want. It even knows, it's kind of creepy almost sometimes. Like it'll know one time the name of our CEO at Travefy, because I was doing like a press release. I was like, how did you know that? It's because I've given it to him before. So it really starts to remember everything. So I think that's the biggest thing, is really just giving it time to know everything, but also practice makes perfect. When you're writing your prompts, it does take a little bit. I think even I could still do better about prompts, where I have learned you can't just ask it like a simple question without more, because your response isn't going to be great. Your response might not be as detailed as you want. So just really giving it as much information and really asking it and telling it what you want, but then also just keep asking it. So I will go through a lot of times and say, that was awesome, but can you condense that? Because you'll quickly find ChatGPT sometimes gives you a lot more than you need sometimes, which is a great problem to have. And then you'll just say, can you condense that down? Or can you give me 10 different ideas? So I'll do that a lot too, which is a great thing. So that's kind of all the good stuff, in there. But that was kind of it. Now, I want to give you a second here, because I did make this so you can actually download all these slides. So if you want, you'll just have to fill out a form, and then you'll get the presentation. You'll be able to open it up. But I just want to see if there's any questions, or also not only just questions, but is there anybody who uses ChatGPT for specific ways? Because I always love hearing different ways that people use it. So let's see, you can use it for a script for, yes, 100%. That is a really, really fun one. I've done that too. And it'll even say, and you can say like, because I know for me, I was like, well, I don't want to show my face. What do I do here? And it'll say, oh, just use this picture and use this text, all of those things. So yes, that is really cool for the scripting. Oh, that's good. Used to update your social media profiles. Yeah, that's a good one too. Actually, I have done that, because I don't know, when I think it was Instagram, that it's really short, like the characters are really short, and I was trying to update Travefy. So heads up, Travefy was a lot of Travefy things you will see kind of came from ChatGPT sometimes. But it also had, I was like, man, I cannot make it fit these characters. And so I just had to have ChatGPT keep going and trying, and then it did it. And I was like, perfect. And in fact, if you join our Travefy webinars, a lot of times, a lot of descriptions and titles, they get sparked from ChatGPT almost all the time, because when you're constantly, we're very busy, and all of us are juggling so many things, especially you all, you're juggling so many things. So it's really, ChatGPT is so great, because it keeps you on top of your game when, you just put out all these fires and now you have to think of social media. That's really hard. So it's really nice to go to ChatGPT and be like, what are some ideas? Then it just really starts going. And some of the coolest stuff has came because of there's many times where I honestly don't know how we lived without it before. Sometimes, like, especially when it comes to marketing, I'm like, how did we think of anything that's different and unique and new, without using these tools? So it's really cool stuff.
What I like about ChatGPT is that it is like a conversation, and it's not like Google where you type in things to do in Italy. You might start even with ChatGPT, things to do in Italy, but then you go, you just keep giving it prompts, and it'll whittle down, that you can't do with Google. And like you said, you do have to play with it so that you can figure out your system. But I do find it very helpful for what we do as travel advisors. And you do need to play with it though, so you can perfect your system.
Absolutely. That's the biggest thing is it's just really playing with it. And I think it's really fun too. Like it is pretty cool to keep chatting, and you'll see a difference where the more you start asking, the responses will be just pretty dead on most of the time after, the more you use it. And but yeah, I just think it's just so cool. And again, and I've just been talking about ChatGPT, but there's so many tools out there that can help you do the videos, even talking. We had one time we had to come up with like an ad, and we do a podcast, and I was like, oh, we need an ad. And normally before this we would go on and hire a voice actor to do it, but actually we got ChatGPT just did it. Or it wasn't ChatGPT, it was, I can't remember what system it was, but I was like, that sounded awesome. It sounded pretty real and good, and so we use it now. And so there's just so many things to do. Oh, Nicole asks, is there a way to have the slides from the, oh yeah, so if you want, here's my email. I'm going to type my email in there. Just email me and I can just send it. There we go. So it's just Stephanie@Travefy.com. Awesome. Well,
any other questions, thoughts?
Yeah.
Feel free to unmute, chat. Otherwise, let's get Jeff to spin the wheel.
Ooh.
Don't leave. You might have won a prize.
We did have one person leave early, so everyone has a slightly better chance of winning.
Ooh,
Lisa!
I love the music.
Woohoo!
All right, it's Lisa.
And thank you guys for joining.
What did you win? What did Lisa win?
A $50 Amazon gift card.
Cool.
Cool. And thank you to everyone for joining us. Keep your eyes posted at Facebook. We've got our next 2 months planned. So we'll be getting next month, we're going to have Poseidon Expeditions will be enlightening us with their products. So we try to stick to the third Tuesday of every month. So I hope you can join us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It was awesome, Stephanie. Thank you.
See y'all.